Hi there, and thanks for joining me. Today, we'll be diving into the Ten Commandments, a 1956 epic historical drama that gently nudges us to reflect on faith, leadership, and the eternal struggle between freedom and oppression, a story that encourages deeper thought and quiet discovery. I'm glad you're here, ready to explore the layers beneath the surface, where meaning and detail quietly reside. If you appreciate thoughtful exploration, please consider subscribing so we can keep uncovering these stories together. You can watch the Ten Commandments officially on various classic film streaming platforms. Let's begin this journey with curiosity and care. From the very first frame, this sweeping saga unfolds as a majestic tapestry, grand in scale and profound in ambition, retelling one of the oldest stories humanity has passed down, the Exodus. It is a film that immerses its audience in a world both ancient and timeless, where the sands of Egypt whisper tales of gods and kings, slaves and liberators, divine wrath and mercy. The monumental spectacle is not just about historical grandeur. It is a meditation on the human spirit's capacity for endurance and transformation. The story follows the extraordinary journey of a man torn between two worlds, born a Hebrew slave yet raised as Egyptian royalty. His identity is a paradox, a source of inner conflict and external challenge, setting the stage for a narrative brimming with tension, faith, and destiny. As a child, he is plucked from the Nile's waters and adopted into Pharaoh's household, groomed for power but forever bound by blood to a people enslaved beneath Egypt's shadow. This duality courses through the film, shaping a protagonist whose path toward leadership is marked by revelation and sacrifice. The plot sweeps us from the glittering courts of Egypt to the harsh wilderness of Sinai, tracing a transformative odyssey where personal destiny aligns with divine will. It is a tale of liberation, where chains, both physical and spiritual, are broken through courage and conviction. Along the way, we encounter figures of monumental presence. The stubborn yet compassionate Pharaoh who stands as both antagonist and complex ruler, the fiery rebel leader whose faith ignites a nation, the wise and steadfast mentor who guides through visions and miracles. The narrative crescendos with events that have become mythic, plagues that scourge the land, the miraculous parting of the Red Sea, the thunderous giving of the commandments upon stone tablets. These moments are rendered with awe-inspiring cinematic grandeur, their scale amplified by sweeping panoramas, dramatic lighting, and evocative music that stirs the soul. Each event is charged with symbolic weight, encapsulating themes of justice, obedience, and covenant. Yet beneath the epic spectacle, the film is deeply human, delving into the doubts, struggles, and passions of its characters. The protagonist's internal battle between loyalty to his adoptive family and his birthright illuminates the universal tension between duty and self-discovery. His interactions with Pharaoh reveal not mere conflict but a tragic complexity, a clash of ideals, fears, and love. The supporting cast breathes life into a panorama of personalities: devout elders, conflicted officials, fierce warriors, and humble slaves, each adding texture to the unfolding drama. Key elements invite viewers into a layered experience. The film's visual storytelling harnesses vast sets, thousands of extras, and groundbreaking special effects for its time, creating immersive scenes that transport audiences into ancient worlds. Its iconic moments, the burning bush, the staff transforming into a serpent, the final descent from Sinai, are etched into cinematic history, symbols not only of religious faith but of the power of storytelling itself. Major twists ripple through the narrative, reshaping alliances and destinies. The revelation of the protagonist's true heritage propels his transformation from prince to prophet. The Pharaoh's hardened resistance evokes both sympathy and dread, culminating in his tragic downfall. The miraculous signs challenge belief and inspire awe, testing faith amid adversity. The film navigates these turning points with a balance of spectacle and introspection, inviting viewers to witness not just events but their profound meaning. As we embark on this exploration, prepare to journey through deserts and palaces, faith and doubt, oppression and freedom. We'll delve into the artistry and storytelling that make this film a towering achievement, its bold ambition, its enduring themes, and its timeless message. Join me as we uncover the cinematic layers where history, legend, and human experience intertwine, illuminating a story that continues to inspire and challenge across generations. From the very first frames, the film sweeps us into a vast, sun-drenched world of ancient civilizations, where monumental ambition and the weight of destiny feel as tangible as the very dust beneath the feet of its characters. This is not just a retelling of an age-old tale but a sprawling cinematic tapestry that captures the grandeur of history and the intimate struggles of the human heart. The director's brush paints across massive sets that breathe life into a time long past, where gods and kings intertwined and the fate of a people hung on the fragile threads of courage and faith. The story's beating heart centers on one man, born into the highest echelons of power yet destined to become a liberator. His journey begins as a prince raised in the luxury of a powerful kingdom, unaware of his true heritage. The film introduces us to his complex relationships, especially the one with his adoptive brother, a bond torn between loyalty and rivalry. These two men, though bound by blood and upbringing, embody opposing destinies, one embracing the path of tyranny, the other the call to freedom. As the narrative unfolds, we follow this prince's awakening to his roots and his people's suffering under cruel oppression. The tension rises with each step he takes away from privilege and into the wilderness of exile, a journey both physical and spiritual. It is in these moments that the film's true power emerges, the transformation of a man into a leader, a reluctant hero who must grapple not only with external enemies but with the weight of his own doubts and fears. This tale is layered with scenes of breathtaking spectacle: the parting of a mighty sea, the delivery of divine laws, and the harrowing march through deserts. These iconic moments serve as more than visual marvels. They symbolize the enduring human struggle against bondage and the quest for justice. The film's ability to blend these mythic sequences with deeply personal drama makes it resonate across generations, reminding us that behind every legend is a human story waiting to be felt. Yet, what keeps this epic compelling is not just the grandeur but the intimate portrayals of its characters. The prince's evolution is mirrored by those around him: the conflicted brother who rules with an iron fist, the steadfast allies who risk everything for freedom, and the figures who challenge his resolve in moments of doubt. The film captures their fears, hopes, and sacrifices with a tenderness that elevates the story beyond mere spectacle. Throughout the narrative, there is a steady undercurrent of moral and spiritual awakening. The prince's encounters with divine guidance serve as pivotal turning points, not only shifting the plot but also deepening the themes of faith and responsibility. These moments invite viewers to consider the nature of destiny and the price of leadership. The film does not shy away from portraying the harsh realities of rebellion and the costs it exacts, making the eventual triumph feel both earned and profound. Amid the vast landscapes and monumental events, there is a rich texture of smaller stories: the bonds forged in hardship, the moments of doubt and redemption, the quiet glimmers of hope in the darkest hours. These threads weave together to create a narrative tapestry that feels both epic and personal, reminding us that history is shaped by individuals who dare to stand for what is right. The tension between the brothers escalates into a powerful clash of wills and ideals, culminating in moments charged with both passion and tragedy. Their rivalry is not just political but deeply emotional, filled with betrayals and moments of reluctant respect. This dynamic drives much of the film's drama, making their final confrontations as gripping as the grand events that surround them. One of the most thrilling aspects lies in the suspenseful build-up to the deliverance of the people, a sequence filled with anticipation and awe. The film masterfully balances the weight of expectation with the unpredictable nature of the journey ahead. As obstacles mount and allies fall, the stakes feel impossibly high, yet the hero's resolve shines through with inspiring clarity. The epic parting of the seas stands as a monumental cinematic moment, not just for its technical achievement but for the emotional release it represents. It is the climax of struggle and hope, a visual metaphor for breaking free from chains both literal and spiritual. This scene, etched into cinematic history, encapsulates the film's core message: that faith and perseverance can overcome even the most insurmountable barriers. Following this triumphant escape, the story delves into the establishment of a new order, one built on laws that transcend the individual and bind a people to a higher moral code. The giving of these laws is portrayed with reverence and gravity, highlighting the tension between freedom and responsibility. It is a moment of transformation not just for the protagonist but for the entire community, signaling a new chapter in their shared destiny. Throughout the film, the interplay between human ambition and divine will create a profound sense of wonder and contemplation. The characters' struggles are framed by a cosmos that watches and intervenes, lending the story a timeless quality. This blending of history, myth, and spirituality invites viewers to reflect on the enduring questions of justice, leadership, and the search for meaning. The visual grandeur is matched by a stirring musical score that lifts the narrative to soaring heights and plunges it into moments of quiet reflection. The soundscape envelopes the viewer, making the ancient world feel vivid and alive, and every scene resonates with emotional depth. This harmony of sight and sound reinforces the film's immersive storytelling, drawing the audience fully into its sweeping journey. In the final chapters, The film confronts the complexities of freedom, not simply as an escape from oppression but as a call to live according to principles that bind a society together. The challenges faced by the hero and his people underscore the eternal tension between power and justice, obedience and conscience. The resolution offers both closure and a sense of ongoing struggle, reminding us that the journey toward righteousness is never truly complete. What makes this story so captivating is its universal appeal. The timeless themes of courage, sacrifice, and faith speak across cultures and generations. It captures the eternal human yearning to break free from chains, whether physical, spiritual, or moral, and to step into a destiny shaped by hope and conviction. The film's epic scope and emotional intimacy create a narrative experience that lingers long after the credits roll. As the journey draws to a close, the legacy of the protagonist endures, not just as a figure of legend but as a symbol of the power of conviction and the resilience of the human spirit. The story's final images leave us with a profound sense of awe and reflection, inviting us to consider the ways in which history, faith, and individual courage intertwine. In this sweeping epic, we are reminded that behind every great story is a human heart, wrestling with fear and hope, doubt and faith. It is this balance of grandeur and intimacy, spectacle and soul, that makes this film a timeless exploration of what it means to seek freedom and meaning in a world fraught with challenges. So as we peel back the layers of this monumental tale, we find not just an ancient story but a living, breathing journey that speaks to us today, about the power of belief, the cost of leadership, and the enduring quest for justice that shapes humanity itself. The story unfolds in a world where the line between man and God feels thin, where towering monuments and golden temples rise under an endless desert sky, setting the stage for a tale both vast in scope and intimate in its humanity. We begin deep in the heart of ancient Egypt, a land shimmering with power and opulence, ruled by a king who governs with iron will and divine decree. The young man at the center of our story is born not as a slave, but as a prince, adopted and raised in the palace walls, yet destined for something far beyond the gilded cages of royalty. From the moment of his birth, a secret pulse beats beneath the surface, a lineage hidden from him, the blood of a people shackled in bondage. The infant's mother, desperate and fearful, sends him away to safety, where fate intertwines with the grand design of history. He is found by the pharaoh's daughter and raised as her own, given a name and status, but always shadowed by a destiny not yet understood. The boy grows strong and handsome, his presence commanding yet tinged with the restless spirit of one who does not fully belong as the years pass. The prince is educated in all the arts of power, strategy, language, religion, and warfare. He is molded to rule, beloved by the court, a favorite of the reigning pharaoh who cherishes him almost as a son. Yet beneath the surface of palace intrigue and political maneuvering, a storm brews. The prince's closest companion, the pharaoh's own son, stands by his side, brothers in arms and spirit, their bond seemingly unbreakable. But beneath this brotherhood lurks a simmering tension, a rivalry seeded by ambition and pride, waiting for the right moment to erupt. The first cracks appear as the prince's awareness of his true origins begins to awaken. Encounters with his people, the slaves forced to build the monuments that glorify the kingdom, stir something deep within him. He witnesses their suffering, the calloused hands, the weary backs, the quiet despair, and the injustice weighs heavily on his heart. These glimpses of a reality so starkly different from his own privileged life spark a crisis of identity, pushing him to question the foundations on which his world rests. His growing empathy clashes with the expectations imposed by the palace and his adoptive family. The young man stands at a crossroads, torn between loyalty to the man who raised him and the call of his birthright. His inner turmoil is mirrored in the outside world, where political tensions rise and the king's grip tightens in response to whispers of rebellion. The prince's relationship with his adoptive brother becomes strained as their visions for the future diverge, one embracing absolute power, the other drawn toward justice and liberation. The turning point comes with a violent incident that shatters the fragile peace of the court. The prince witnesses firsthand the brutal punishment of a slave, an act of cruelty that ignites a fire within him. Unable to reconcile his growing sense of justice with the harsh realities of his life, he takes a desperate step, intervening to save the slave and, in doing so, revealing his true identity to those around him. This act of defiance marks the beginning of his fall from grace, as the pharaoh's son, now an adversary, seizes the moment to assert his dominance. Banished from the kingdom he once called home, the prince is thrust into the wilderness, stripped of titles and comfort. The exile is not just physical but spiritual, a painful journey through harsh landscapes where survival itself becomes a test of will. Yet, It is in this crucible of solitude and struggle that he begins to discover the deeper truths of his existence. Alone with his thoughts, he grapples with doubt, fear, and hope, slowly transforming from a prince into a leader, a man shaped by the harshness of the world and the strength of his convictions. During this time, the wilderness becomes both adversary and teacher. The vast deserts stretch endlessly, harsh winds battering him, scorching sun draining his strength. Yet amid this harshness, he finds unexpected allies, nomads and outcasts who see in him a spark of destiny. Their wisdom and resilience teach him the value of humility and the power of community. With their guidance, he learns to harness his inner strength, to listen not only to his own heart but to the voices of those who suffer alongside him. The prince's transformation is marked by a series of visions and encounters that deepen his spiritual understanding. In moments of quiet reflection, he connects with forces beyond the mortal realm, an unseen presence offering guidance, a sense of purpose that transcends personal ambition. These encounters are both mystical and profoundly human, grounding his journey in a sense of sacred duty. It is here that he begins to understand the magnitude of the mission before him, to lead his people out of bondage and toward freedom. As his strength and resolve grow, the exiled prince begins to gather followers, men and women drawn by his courage and vision. They see in him not just a noble figure but a symbol of hope, a beacon amid the darkness. Their stories intertwine, their struggles and dreams weaving a tapestry of resistance and resilience. Together, they form a fragile but determined community, bound by shared hardship and the yearning for liberation. Meanwhile, back in the palace, the power struggle intensifies. The pharaoh's son consolidates his rule with ruthless efficiency, his reign marked by fear and oppression. The kingdom's grandeur contrasts starkly with the suffering of its people, whose cries grow louder beneath the weight of forced labor and harsh decrees. Political intrigue and betrayal ripple through the court, as allies turn to enemies and the seeds of rebellion take root in unexpected places. The film's narrative tension builds as these two worlds, palace and wilderness, oppression and resistance, draw ever closer to collision. The prince, now fully embracing his destiny, prepares to challenge the might of an empire with little more than faith and determination. The stakes could not be higher, and the journey ahead is fraught with danger and uncertainty. Yet, the promise of freedom and the call of justice propel him forward, a beacon of hope amid the gathering storm. This phase of the story is rich with dramatic confrontations and emotional revelations. The prince's internal struggle mirrors the external conflicts that shape the fate of nations. His encounters with former friends turned foes underscore the complexity of loyalty and betrayal, while the bonds forged with his new allies highlight the strength found in unity. Each step of his journey reveals more about the cost of courage and the power of conviction. The tension escalates in moments of quiet introspection and explosive action. The film balances grand set pieces with intimate character moments, allowing us to feel the weight of each decision and the depth of each sacrifice. The prince's relationship with his adoptive brother becomes a focal point, a dance of rivalry and reluctant respect that adds emotional complexity to the unfolding drama. Amid the harsh realities of exile and rebellion, there are flashes of tenderness and humanity. The prince's connection with those he leads is marked by moments of vulnerability and hope, reminding us that even amid epic struggles, the human spirit endures. These moments deepen our investment in the journey, making the stakes feel personal and urgent. Throughout this first part of the tale, the visual storytelling captivates with its sweeping landscapes and intricate details. The contrast between the glittering palace and the barren desert underscores the thematic tension between oppression and freedom. The film's meticulous attention to costume, set design, and lighting immerses us fully in this ancient world, making the story's emotional beats all the more resonant. As the prince moves from captive royal to exiled leader, we witness a transformation not just of circumstance but of identity. His journey becomes a quest for self-discovery and purpose, a movement from privilege to responsibility, from ignorance to understanding. The people he meets and the trials he endures shape him into a figure capable of bearing the hopes of a nation. The narrative's momentum carries us toward the inevitable confrontation between the prince and the empire that rejected him. The forces arrayed against him are immense, but so too is his resolve. The story invites us to reflect on the nature of power and freedom, the price of resistance, and the enduring strength of faith. This segment ends on the cusp of change, our hero no longer a passive figure but an emerging force, ready to challenge the destiny imposed upon him. The promise of redemption and liberation hangs in the air, a tantalizing glimpse of what is yet to come. The foundations of a rebellion are laid, and the stage is set for a battle that will shake the very pillars of the ancient world. The first half of this cinematic journey immerses us in a world where history and myth collide, where personal courage sparks monumental change. It invites us to walk alongside a man discovering his true self, a leader rising from exile to embrace a destiny that will alter the course of time. The story's depth and complexity, woven with moments of grandeur and intimacy, prepare us for the epic struggles and triumphs that lie ahead. The journey moves forward with a growing sense of inevitability, as the man who once walked the palace halls now steps fully into the role fate has carved out for him. A liberator, a prophet, a figure larger than life yet deeply human in his fears and hopes. His path, once uncertain and marked by exile, now gathers momentum. The story's depth and complexity, woven with moments of grandeur and intimacy, prepare us for the epic struggles and triumphs that lie ahead. The journey moves forward with a growing sense of inevitability, as the man who once walked the palace halls now steps fully into the role fate has carved out for him. A liberator, a prophet, a figure larger than life yet deeply human in his fears and hopes. His path, once uncertain and marked by exile, now gathers momentum. The desert wind carries whispers of rebellion, and the faces of those yearning for freedom become a chorus calling him onward. With every passing day, his resolve hardens. The followers who once saw him as merely a symbol now recognize him as a leader forged in the crucible of hardship. Together, they prepare to challenge the very foundation of the empire that had cast him out. The stakes are immense, not just the liberation of a people, but a confrontation that will test faith, courage, and the limits of human endurance. The first major ripple in this second chapter arrives with the hero's return to Egypt, not as a prince, but as a force of reckoning. His presence is no longer a secret. It is a beacon that inspires hope and fear in equal measure. The ruling powers, once confident in their unshakable authority, now sense the wind shifting beneath their feet. The pharaoh, aging yet unyielding, is confronted with a threat that is both personal and existential. The son he raised now returned not to inherit, but to overthrow. The relationship between the two brothers reaches a fever pitch. Their encounters crackle with tension, laced with past grievances, unspoken pain, and the bitter knowledge that they stand on opposite sides of an irrevocable divide. This is no longer a rivalry of youth or privilege, but a collision of destinies, where the weight of history presses upon their shoulders. Each meeting carries the heavy burden of what was lost and what might never be regained. In the midst of these confrontations, the film unfurls scenes of escalating conflict, both physical and spiritual. The hero's mission is no longer simply survival but an active challenge to the Empire's brutal grip. His followers engage in acts of rebellion, small sparks of defiance that grow into a roaring fire. The once seemingly impregnable system begins to show cracks as the oppressed rise with renewed vigor. A particularly striking moment comes when the hero stands before his people, now ready to lead them toward a destiny marked by peril and promise. His speeches, imbued with conviction and divine authority, echo across the barren lands and into the hearts of those shackled by fear. The narrative captures the profound weight of leadership, the sacrifices demanded, the loneliness endured, and the unyielding faith required to confront a seemingly unbeatable foe. Yet, this journey is far from straightforward. The forces arrayed against the hero are vast and relentless. The Empire unleashes its might, from imposing armies to insidious plots designed to crush rebellion before it can ignite fully. The pharaoh's son, now ruler, embodies this ruthlessness, wielding power with a coldness that contrasts starkly with his brother's compassion. The clash between them becomes not only a battle of armies but a war of wills, where every move carries consequences that ripple through both personal and political realms. Amid these struggles, the hero's connection to the divine deepens, lending the story a transcendent quality. His encounters with the sacred, moments of prayer, visions, and revelations, offer guidance and reassurance but also underscore the tremendous responsibility he bears. These moments are portrayed with reverence and awe, inviting the viewer to contemplate the interplay of fate, faith, and free will. The hero is more than a man. He is an instrument of something greater, called to fulfill a covenant that extends beyond the mortal world. The narrative's tension mounts steadily toward a series of iconic and breathtaking sequences that have since become etched in the annals of cinema. The most unforgettable is the confrontation with the forces of nature itself, the divine command that parts the great sea, creating a path through impossible waters. This moment of spectacle is charged with emotion and symbolism, representing the ultimate triumph of faith and determination over oppression and despair. As the sea parts, the suspense is palpable. The film holds its breath alongside the characters, capturing the wonder and terror of stepping into the unknown. The crossing becomes a physical and spiritual passage, a journey from bondage into freedom, from fear into hope. This sequence, filled with dramatic tension and awe-inspiring visuals, marks the apex of the hero's quest and the turning point in the people's struggle, but liberation comes at a cost. The pursuit by the Empire's forces through the parted waters is fraught with danger and loss. The narrative does not shy away from depicting the price of freedom, the lives sacrificed, the heartbreak endured, and the harsh realities that temper triumph. The destruction that follows the crossing is both a moment of victory and a somber reminder of the cost of defiance. Following this miraculous escape, the story turns to the aftermath, the establishment of a new order founded on laws that bind a people together in justice and morality. The hero ascends a mountain, where he receives commandments that are more than mere rules. They are a covenant between the divine and humanity. This moment is portrayed with solemnity and grandeur, the weight of the laws reflected in the hero's bearing and the reverence of those who witness it. The giving of these laws marks a profound transformation, not only for the people but for the hero himself. He steps into the role of a prophet and lawgiver, carrying the burden of guiding a nation toward a future shaped by faith, justice, and ethical responsibility. The film captures the tension inherent in this role, the demands of leadership balanced against the hero's humanity and the enormity of the task ahead. As the story nears its conclusion, it confronts themes of legacy and the ongoing struggle between obedience and freedom. The people are called to embrace a covenant that will define their identity and destiny, yet the journey toward living these ideals is fraught with challenges. The narrative does not offer simple resolutions but acknowledges the complexity of forging a society grounded in moral law. The relationship between the hero and his people is rendered with deep emotional resonance. Their triumphs and failures are intertwined, their hopes and fears a reflection of the broader human condition. The film's final moments emphasize this communal aspect of the story, showing that liberation is not just a personal victory but a collective transformation. Throughout this concluding section, the film balances moments of epic grandeur with intimate reflections, allowing the viewer to feel both the scale of history and the depth of individual experience. The hero's journey is not only one of external conquest but of inner growth and spiritual awakening. His story becomes a mirror for the audience, inviting contemplation of faith, justice, and the meaning of freedom. The final scenes leave the viewer with a sense of awe and contemplation. The hero, now fully realized in his role, stands as a testament to the enduring power of conviction and the human spirit's capacity to transcend oppression. The legacy he leaves is one of hope and guidance, a beacon for those who continue to seek justice and meaning in a complex world. In this way, the narrative closes not with an end but with a beginning, an invitation to carry forward the ideals embodied in the journey, to remember the cost of freedom, and to recognize the eternal struggle between tyranny and liberation. The story, timeless and profound, resonates across cultures and generations, a cinematic meditation on faith, courage, and the transformative power of belief. This tale, told through sweeping vistas and intimate moments, reminds us that history is shaped by those who dare to dream of freedom, who rise in the face of overwhelming odds, and who carry the torch of hope into the darkness. It is a story of resilience and redemption, of faith tested and proven, and of a people united by a covenant that transcends time. As the screen fades to black, the echoes of the journey linger, images of deserts, seas, and mountains, of men and women bound by destiny, of laws written not just on stone but on the hearts of a people. This cinematic odyssey leaves us not only entertained but moved, challenged, and inspired to consider the enduring questions at the heart of human existence. The final moments serve as a powerful reminder that every act of liberation begins with a single step, a choice to stand against injustice, to embrace faith, and to walk into the unknown with courage. The story's profound message resonates still, a call to remember that true freedom is both a gift and a responsibility, forever shaping the course of humanity. In the heart of this vast, sweeping epic stands a figure of immense complexity, someone whose journey from obscurity to legend is as much about internal transformation as external triumph. He is not just a prince or a leader but a man caught between worlds, of privilege and oppression, doubt and faith, human frailty and divine purpose. His character breathes with contradictions, strength tempered by vulnerability, determination shadowed by hesitation, and it is through these tensions that the story finds its deepest humanity. From his earliest moments, he is portrayed as a soul searching for identity. Raised within the gilded walls of a palace, surrounded by luxury and power, there is always a whisper in his heart, a restless yearning that refuses to be silenced. This inner disquiet is the seed of everything that follows, the quiet rebellion that grows beneath the surface of his princely duties. He embodies the struggle of self-discovery, caught in the liminal space between who he is told to be and who he knows himself to be deep within. His relationship with the royal family that raised him is layered with affection, obligation, and growing estrangement. The king who adopts him is both a father figure and an emblem of the system that he will one day oppose. This dynamic is rich with emotional complexity, as the hero wrestles with loyalty to those who gave him status and love, even as he becomes painfully aware of their complicity in oppression. His adoptive mother, tender and protective, represents the warmth and security of the palace life he must ultimately leave behind, adding a poignant human element to his journey. The bond with his adoptive brother forms one of the story's most compelling threads. Once inseparable companions, their paths diverge dramatically as ambition, jealousy, and destiny pull them apart. The brother's character embodies the darker side of power, the hunger for control, the willingness to crush opposition, and the blinding pride that fuels tyranny. Their rivalry is more than political. It is deeply personal, woven from years of shared history and fractured trust. This relationship fuels much of the narrative's emotional tension, revealing how love and hate often exist side by side. What makes the hero's journey so compelling is not just his outward rebellion but the profound internal shifts he undergoes. Initially, he is unaware of his true heritage and the suffering endured by his people. His awakening is gradual, marked by moments of shock and empathy that slowly peel away the layers of privilege and ignorance. This transformation is portrayed with nuance. His doubts, fears, and moments of anger feel authentic, painting a portrait of a man learning to reconcile the weight of his destiny with his own humanity. Exile marks a pivotal turning point in his character arc. Stripped of rank and comfort, he is forced to confront his vulnerabilities and limitations. Yet it is in the harshness of the wilderness that his spirit hardens and his vision clarifies. The hero's solitude becomes a crucible, forging resilience and deepening his sense of purpose. This period of isolation and growth is marked by poignant introspection, as he grapples with questions of faith, leadership, and identity. His encounters with nomadic tribes and outcasts broaden his perspective, teaching him humility and the value of community. Central to his character is his evolving relationship with the divine. Throughout his journey, he is portrayed as a man who struggles to understand and accept the weight of a sacred mission. His moments of prayer and visions convey a spiritual awakening that transcends the physical challenges he faces. This connection to something greater lends his actions a sense of inevitability and grace, yet it also underscores the loneliness and burden of his calling. The hero becomes a vessel for divine will, yet remains deeply human, wrestling with doubt and the fear of failure. His leadership style is marked by empathy and a profound sense of justice. Unlike the ruthless power wielded by his brother, he leads through compassion and vision. He inspires loyalty not through fear but through shared hope and sacrifice. The bonds he forms with his followers are depicted with warmth and sincerity, highlighting his ability to unite disparate individuals around a common cause. This relational aspect of his character grounds the epic tale in real human connection, reminding us that great leaders are also great listeners and learners. The hero's journey is also defined by sacrifice. He gives up the comfort and status of royalty, embracing hardship and danger for the sake of his people's freedom. This willingness to suffer alongside the oppressed elevates him beyond mere mortal ambition and paints him as a true servant leader. His sacrifices are not just physical but emotional and spiritual, moments of loneliness, loss, and profound responsibility. These layers of sacrifice enrich his character, making his triumphs feel hard-won and deeply meaningful. The antagonist, the hero's adoptive brother, stands as a formidable counterpart, complex in his own right. Far from a simple villain, he is a man shaped by his environment and choices, embodying the tragic allure and dangers of absolute power. His motivations are rooted in a desire to maintain order and control, yet his methods are brutal and unforgiving. His character is a study in pride and downfall, revealing how ambition unmoored from compassion can lead to destruction. The film gives him moments of vulnerability, hinting at the possibility of redemption even as he descends further into darkness. The tension between these two brothers becomes a profound exploration of conflicting visions of leadership and justice. Their confrontations are charged with personal history and ideological divide, making their battles as much about identity and loyalty as about power. This dynamic adds emotional depth to the narrative, showing how family bonds can both bind and break under the strain of destiny. Supporting characters enrich the hero's story with their own struggles and loyalties. There are mentors who guide him, allies who stand by him through peril, and voices of doubt that challenge his resolve. Each character is painted with care, adding texture and nuance to the world he inhabits. The relationships he forms are not mere plot devices but reflections of the human need for connection, trust, and shared purpose. One of the most memorable figures is the hero's love interest, whose presence adds layers of tenderness and humanity to the narrative. Their bond offers moments of respite from the epic struggles, grounding the story in personal emotion. Their relationship is marked by sacrifice and understanding, underscoring the personal costs of the hero's mission. She represents both a source of strength and a reminder of what is at stake beyond the grand designs of fate. The people he leads, slaves and outcasts, are not faceless masses but vivid individuals whose stories intertwine with his own. Their hopes, fears, and sacrifices become the heartbeat of the narrative, reminding us that the quest for freedom is a collective endeavor. The hero's ability to inspire and uplift them speaks to his character's empathy and vision, making the cause he champions feel both urgent and deeply human. Throughout the film, the hero's internal conflicts are portrayed with emotional richness. He is a man caught between worlds, between duty and desire, fear and faith. His doubts are palpable, his moments of hesitation deeply felt. Yet, it is his ability to confront these vulnerabilities and rise above them that defines his greatness. His journey is not one of perfection but of perseverance, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. The film's portrayal of his growth is interwoven with striking visual symbolism. Scenes of him walking through deserts, climbing mountains, or standing alone against vast skies reflect his internal journey, isolated yet steadfast, small yet significant in the face of overwhelming forces. These moments elevate his story from mere biography to mythic saga, connecting the personal with the universal. His evolving identity, from a sheltered prince to a humble leader, from doubt to unwavering faith, is the emotional backbone of the narrative. This transformation is neither abrupt nor simplistic. It unfolds gradually, shaped by experience, loss, and revelation. The hero's growth invites the audience to reflect on their own journeys of self-discovery and the challenges of embracing one's true calling. At the story's core is the theme of freedom, both physical and spiritual, and the hero's character embodies this struggle. His path illustrates that true liberation requires not just breaking chains but embracing responsibility and moral law. His acceptance of this truth marks his ultimate maturation, positioning him as both a political liberator and a spiritual guide. His connection to the divine, portrayed through moments of prayer, visions, and moral reckoning, adds a profound layer to his character. These encounters are not mere plot points but reflections of his evolving relationship with faith. They underscore the theme that leadership is as much about humility and service as it is about power. His dialogue with the divine shapes his decisions, grounding his actions in a higher purpose. The hero's humility in the face of overwhelming odds makes him a figure of admiration and empathy. He is not portrayed as infallible but as a man who learns, grows, and at times falters. This humanity makes his victories more poignant and his sacrifices more profound. His journey reminds us that greatness is often born from struggle and perseverance. The antagonist, by contrast, illustrates the dangers of pride and unyielding ambition. His descent into tyranny serves as a cautionary tale, highlighting how power without compassion leads to ruin. Yet, his moments of regret and complexity prevent him from being a caricature, making the conflict richer and more compelling. The supporting cast reflects the varied responses to tyranny and hope. Some choose loyalty to power, others risk all for freedom. Their interactions with the hero reveal different facets of his character, from inspiring courage to provoking doubt. These relationships deepen the story's exploration of loyalty, sacrifice, and the costs of rebellion. Together, these characters form a tapestry of human experience: love and hate, hope and despair, faith and doubt. The hero stands at the center, a figure of transformation whose journey mirrors the timeless struggle for justice and meaning. In the end, his character leaves a lasting impression, not just as a legendary figure, but as a deeply human one whose flaws and strengths illuminate the eternal quest for freedom. His story, woven with courage and compassion, invites us to consider what it means to lead, to believe, and to sacrifice for a cause greater than oneself. The making of this grand epic was as monumental and awe-inspiring as the story it sought to tell. Behind the scenes, a world of ambition, artistry, and sometimes chaos unfolded, a tapestry of human endeavor that mirrored the vastness and complexity of the film itself. From the very inception of the project, it was clear that this was not just another movie, but a colossal undertaking that would push the boundaries of filmmaking in its time, leaving behind tales as fascinating and strange as the ancient world it depicted. One of the most astonishing facts about the production is its sheer scale. At a time when cinema was still finding its footing in terms of spectacle, the creators dared to build entire cities from scratch. The sets were not mere facades but sprawling constructions, some stretching over hundreds of acres. The most famous of these was the massive recreation of ancient Egypt's capital, a set so vast it required entire crews to maintain and operate it. This monumental set was not only a backdrop but a character in its own right, breathing life into the world of the story with unparalleled realism. The process of building this ancient city took months and involved thousands of craftsmen, artisans, and laborers. Stone, wood, and plaster were meticulously crafted to recreate temples, palaces, and streets, all designed to evoke the grandeur of a civilization long past. The scale was so enormous that it became one of the largest sets ever constructed for a film, and its impact on the cast and crew was profound. Walking through these streets, actors found themselves transported into the past, their performances imbued with a sense of authenticity born from the surroundings. But the ambition didn't stop at sets. The film enlisted thousands of extras, many of whom were recruited from local populations and even military personnel. Their sheer numbers added to the overwhelming sense of scale, especially in scenes depicting the enslaved masses forced to build the towering monuments or the massive gatherings during pivotal moments of rebellion and divine intervention. The logistics of coordinating these crowds presented enormous challenges, requiring intricate planning and on-the-spot improvisation. Adding to the complexity was the use of animals, most notably, a host of real elephants, camels, and horses, each carefully trained for their roles. These creatures were not mere props but active participants in the storytelling, lending a tactile sense of reality that no amount of special effects could replicate. Their presence, however, sometimes led to unexpected complications, as animals are famously unpredictable, leading to moments of chaos on set that have since become part of production lore. Perhaps one of the most peculiar stories comes from the famous scene where a great body of water is said to part in a miraculous fashion. To bring this iconic moment to life, the filmmakers constructed a massive water tank filled with thousands of gallons of water. Giant walls of water were mechanically manipulated to simulate the parting of the sea, a feat that required both engineering ingenuity and patience. The technical challenges were immense, with the potential for disaster looming at every turn. There are tales of crew members narrowly escaping floods, cameras being submerged, and entire takes being ruined by unexpected surges. This scene remains one of the earliest and most impressive uses of special effects on such a scale, blending practical effects with creative ingenuity to create a moment that has since become etched into the fabric of cinematic history. The painstaking attention to detail ensured that every ripple, splash, and shadow contributed to the overwhelming sense of wonder and divine power. The film's director, a visionary known for his epic storytelling and eye for grandeur, was famously demanding. His reputation for insisting on perfection led to grueling shooting schedules and countless retakes. Stories abound of the director pushing actors and crew to their limits, sometimes resulting in tense confrontations but often yielding performances that crackle with intensity and authenticity. His commitment to capturing the essence of the story meant that no detail was too small and no scene too large to escape his scrutiny. One unusual aspect of the director's approach was his reliance on elaborate storyboards and detailed planning, yet he also embraced spontaneity. On set, unexpected moments were often captured and incorporated, adding layers of realism and surprise. This blend of meticulous preparation and openness to chance created a dynamic atmosphere, where creativity thrived amid the disciplined chaos of a massive production. The cast itself was a study in contrasts and curiosities. The lead actor, whose commanding presence anchors the film, was known for his dedication and work ethic. Yet behind his stoic facade, there were moments of warmth and humor that lightened the long days of shooting. Off-camera, he reportedly bonded with the extras and crew, bridging the gap between star and common worker, embodying the very spirit of leadership his character would come to represent. In contrast, another key actor, portraying the hero's adoptive brother and rival, was noted for his intense preparation and methodical approach to his role. The tension between these two actors, both on and off the set, is said to have fueled the electric energy of their scenes together. Their rivalry extended beyond the narrative, a real-life reflection of the conflict they portrayed, adding a palpable edge to their interactions that audiences can feel even decades later. One of the strangest anecdotes involves a mysterious incident during the filming of the desert sequences. Legend has it that a sudden and unexplainable sandstorm swept through the set, halting production for days. This storm came without warning and was so fierce that it buried sets and equipment under thick layers of sand. While desert storms are not uncommon, the timing and intensity were so extraordinary that many who were present whispered about supernatural interference, given the film's spiritual subject matter. Beyond the natural elements, the production was plagued by a series of accidents and mishaps that seemed almost cursed in their persistence. From injuries sustained during stunt work to near-fatal incidents involving horses and chariots, the cast and crew faced constant physical dangers. Safety standards of the era were not what they are today, and the desire for realism often came at a steep cost. Several key performers suffered serious injuries, yet their dedication never wavered, a testament to the passion that fueled the production. Among the most bizarre and little-known details is the use of multiple language coaches on set. Given the film's ancient setting, there was a concerted effort to infuse authenticity into the dialogue and pronunciation. Experts were brought in to help actors master phrases in ancient Egyptian and Hebrew, languages that were long extinct. This dedication to linguistic accuracy added a layer of immersion that few films of the time attempted, revealing the filmmaker's commitment to honoring the story's roots. The costume design also holds fascinating stories. The wardrobe team created thousands of garments, each painstakingly crafted to reflect the historical period. Yet, due to the scale of the cast and the harsh desert environment, costumes often had to be replaced or repaired daily. The team employed unconventional materials and innovative techniques to balance authenticity with practicality. For instance, some of the heavy gold and jewel-encrusted robes were made lighter using modern materials, ensuring actors could endure long shooting hours under the blazing sun. One of the most striking visual elements is the iconic makeup used to transform actors into towering Egyptian figures or ragged slaves. The makeup artists pioneered techniques that would become standard in Hollywood, using intricate designs to convey status, emotion, and cultural identity. Behind the scenes, the makeup process could take hours, with actors enduring uncomfortable prosthetics and elaborate face paint. These transformations were key in transporting audiences into the ancient world, adding depth and texture to the performances. Another intriguing tidbit revolves around the film's musical score, composed by a legendary figure whose work elevated the narrative to mythic heights. The score was recorded with one of the largest orchestras ever assembled for a film at that time, blending traditional orchestral elements with exotic instruments to evoke the ancient setting. The composer's meticulous attention to thematic motifs ensured that music was not just background but a driving emotional force, weaving through the story's triumphs and tragedies. Interestingly, the composer worked closely with the director to align the music with the film's pacing and mood, often rescoring scenes multiple times to achieve the perfect emotional resonance. Some scenes have alternate musical versions, recorded but never used, hidden in archives and only recently rediscovered by film historians. These rare recordings offer a glimpse into the creative process and the evolving vision behind the score. One of the strangest and most endearing stories involves an extra who was hired to play a minor role as a slave but whose natural charisma and presence on set caught the director's eye. This individual, without prior acting experience, became a beloved figure among the cast and crew and was given more screen time than originally planned. His authenticity and energy brought a genuine humanity to the scenes of oppression and rebellion, becoming a symbol of the real people whose stories inspired the film. The film's editing process was another epic endeavor. The raw footage, shot over many months and across numerous locations, amounted to hundreds of hours. The editors faced the daunting task of weaving these pieces into a coherent and compelling narrative that balanced spectacle with intimacy. Early cuts were reportedly far longer and more sprawling, with some sequences trimmed significantly to maintain narrative pace. The editing room was a battleground of ideas, with debates over which scenes to include, how to structure the story, and how to handle the film's length. Throughout post-production, sound design also played a crucial role. Foley artists and sound engineers created layered soundscapes to bring ancient Egypt to life, the clang of chisels against stone, the murmur of vast crowds, the distant roar of desert winds. These subtle touches enriched the cinematic experience, grounding the epic visuals in a tangible world that audiences could almost feel and hear. One curious piece of trivia involves the film's release strategy. The studio undertook an unprecedented marketing campaign, premiering the film in multiple cities simultaneously and organizing grand events that turned screenings into social phenomena. The premiere was a lavish affair attended by celebrities, dignitaries, and fans alike, turning the movie into a cultural event far beyond a mere entertainment release. This strategy helped cement the film's place in cinematic history, making it not only a box office success but a shared cultural moment. Another strange and often overlooked fact is the influence the film had on subsequent Hollywood productions. Its groundbreaking use of large-scale sets, thousands of extras, and pioneering special effects set a new standard for epic storytelling. Many future filmmakers have cited it as an inspiration, acknowledging how it expanded what cinema could achieve in both technical and narrative terms. The film's impact even extended beyond cinema into popular culture and academia. It sparked renewed interest in ancient history and biblical scholarship, prompting debates about historical accuracy and artistic license. Museums, universities, and religious institutions used the film as a touchstone for discussion, recognizing its power to ignite curiosity and dialogue about faith, history, and storytelling. Throughout all these remarkable details, what remains most striking is the human element. The countless individuals whose dedication, creativity, and sometimes sheer stubbornness brought this monumental vision to life. From the director's uncompromising standards to the actors' passionate performances, from the craftsmen building entire cities to the extras embodying a lost world, the film stands as a testament to the collective effort and artistry that defines great cinema. Behind the glamour and grandeur lie stories of sacrifice, endurance, and the unpredictable magic that occurs when countless talents converge in pursuit of a singular dream. This film, with all its strange and wonderful facts, reminds us that the making of art is as epic and complex as the stories it seeks to tell. Full of wonder, struggle, and moments of unexpected grace, the film unfolds as a vast tapestry of monumental events, each one meticulously crafted to not only advance the narrative but to resonate deeply on thematic and emotional levels. At its core, it is a story about liberation, faith, and the human condition, and every pivotal scene serves as a lens through which these universal themes are explored. To truly appreciate the weight of these moments, we must step beyond the surface spectacle and examine the layers of meaning and impact embedded within them. One of the earliest significant events is the hero's discovery of his true identity and the awakening to the plight of his people. This moment is not merely a plot point but a profound turning in the character's journey from ignorance to awareness. Critically, it serves as the catalyst for the entire narrative arc, transforming the protagonist from a passive participant in palace life to an active agent of change. This awakening embodies a universal theme, the painful but necessary realization that privilege and comfort cannot be maintained at the expense of justice. From a cinematic perspective, this event is masterfully conveyed through intimate close-ups and carefully constructed mise-en-scene, contrasting the opulence of the palace with the harsh realities faced by the oppressed. The director's use of light and shadow underscores the duality of the hero's existence, illuminating the growing inner conflict. Emotionally, this moment invites viewers to confront their own complicity in systems of power, making the hero's journey feel personal and urgent. The ensuing act of rebellion, the hero's intervention to save a slave, is another event laden with critical significance. On the narrative level, it marks the point of no return, where the protagonist openly defies the established order. The director's use of light and shadow underscores the duality of the hero's existence, illuminating the growing inner conflict. Emotionally, this moment invites viewers to confront their own complicity in systems of power, making the hero's journey feel personal and urgent. The ensuing act of rebellion, the hero's intervention to save a slave, is another event laden with critical significance. On the narrative level, it marks the point of no return, where the protagonist openly defies the established order. This defiance is a statement about moral responsibility, illustrating that true leadership requires courage to stand against injustice, even at great personal cost. Thematically, it reflects timeless questions about the limits of obedience and the price of conscience. Critics have often noted how this scene balances tension and emotion, employing both grand spectacle and intimate human drama. The physical struggle is visceral and raw, while the hero's expression reveals the inner turmoil of a man stepping into his destiny. The juxtaposition of violence and compassion here serves as a microcosm of the film's broader exploration of power, how it can corrupt, yet also inspire resistance. The hero's exile follows, unfolding as both a physical and spiritual journey. From a critical standpoint, this section of the film delves deeply into themes of identity, faith, and transformation. The wilderness, with its vast deserts and unforgiving landscapes, becomes a metaphor for the hero's internal struggles. The film's visual language here is stark and poetic, employing wide shots that emphasize isolation and vulnerability. This period of exile is pivotal because it humanizes the hero, stripping away the trappings of royalty and exposing his doubts and fears. Critics often highlight how the film uses this section to shift from external action to introspective drama, allowing audiences to engage with the protagonist's psyche. The hero's encounters with nomadic tribes and spiritual visions enrich the narrative with a mystical dimension, underscoring the film's engagement with questions of destiny and divine intervention. The emotional resonance of exile is further amplified by the film's score and sound design, which evoke both desolation and hope. Music swells and recedes in tandem with the hero's journey, mirroring his fluctuating faith. This sonic landscape invites viewers into a meditative space, encouraging reflection on the nature of suffering and renewal. As the hero gathers followers and prepares to confront the Empire, the film shifts back into the realm of grand spectacle. The build-up to the climactic liberation is marked by sequences that dramatize collective struggle and solidarity. These scenes are critical in conveying the communal aspect of the narrative, the idea that freedom is not won by a single individual but through the unity and sacrifice of many. Critically, these moments highlight the film's investment in portraying mass human experience with dignity and complexity. The extras, portraying slaves and rebels, are given moments to express fear, hope, and defiance, avoiding the trap of faceless crowds. The director's choice to focus on individual faces amidst the masses creates emotional touchstones that anchor the epic scale in personal reality. The confrontation between the hero and his adoptive brother adds another layer of depth to the film's critical analysis. Their rivalry is rich with psychological nuance, exploring themes of power, jealousy, and familial bonds. This conflict transcends political dimensions, becoming a profound examination of how love and hatred can coexist within intimate relationships. Critics often praise the actors' performances here, noting how their chemistry and tension bring complexity to what could have been a simplistic antagonist-protagonist dynamic. This fraternal clash also underscores the film's meditation on leadership styles. The adoptive brother's ruthless pursuit of power contrasts starkly with the hero's compassionate vision, inviting viewers to consider the ethical responsibilities that come with authority. The dialogue and staging of their encounters are charged with symbolism, reflecting broader societal conflicts between tyranny and justice. The film's most iconic event, the miraculous parting of the sea, serves as both a narrative climax and a thematic crescendo. From a critical perspective, this scene functions on multiple levels. Visually, it represents a groundbreaking achievement in special effects and cinematic spectacle, impressing audiences with its scale and ingenuity. But beyond technical marvel, the event symbolizes the triumph of faith and hope over seemingly insurmountable odds. The parting of the sea is imbued with spiritual significance, representing divine intervention and the possibility of salvation. The film frames this moment with awe and reverence, inviting viewers to experience a sense of wonder and transcendence. Critics have noted how the scene balances tension and release, employing pacing and sound design to build suspense before delivering a cathartic payoff. Emotionally, the crossing is a powerful metaphor for transformation, the passage from slavery to freedom, despair to hope. The film's portrayal of the people moving through the parted waters emphasizes themes of community and collective destiny. Each step forward is weighted with the courage and faith required to embrace change. The pursuit by the Empire's forces through the sea adds complexity to this event, reminding viewers that liberation is not a moment but a process, fraught with danger and sacrifice. This duality enhances the narrative's realism, avoiding simplistic triumphalism and acknowledging the costs of freedom. Critics often highlight this balance as a strength, noting how it enriches the story's emotional and thematic layers. Following the escape, the film's focus on the giving of the laws marks a shift toward questions of moral order and covenant. This event is portrayed with solemn grandeur, underscoring its significance as a foundational moment for a people and a faith. Critically, it invites reflection on the nature of law, not merely as a set of rules but as a binding contract between the divine and humanity. The hero's reception of these laws atop the mountain is laden with symbolic weight. Cinematically, the film uses lighting, camera angles, and music to convey a sense of awe and revelation. The scene serves as a moment of spiritual apex, highlighting the hero's evolution from liberator to lawgiver. Critics appreciate how this transformation embodies the film's overarching themes of faith, responsibility, and the human quest for meaning. Emotionally, the giving of the laws resonates as a call to collective ethics and justice. The film portrays the laws as a guide toward a society founded on principles of righteousness rather than mere power. This emphasis on moral order enriches the narrative, grounding the epic in enduring questions about how communities govern themselves and uphold dignity. Throughout these major events, the film maintains a careful balance between spectacle and intimacy. Critics often note how it avoids the pitfalls of grandiosity by anchoring monumental moments in personal stories and emotions. The hero's internal conflicts, relationships, and doubts are woven seamlessly into the larger historical and spiritual canvas, creating a narrative that is both epic and deeply human. The film's emotional resonance is amplified by its attention to character development and thematic depth. Moments of triumph are tempered by loss and sacrifice, ensuring that the story remains grounded in the complexities of real experience. This nuanced approach invites viewers to engage not just intellectually but emotionally, fostering empathy and reflection. From a critical viewpoint, the film's exploration of faith stands as one of its most compelling dimensions. It portrays belief not as blind acceptance but as a dynamic, sometimes fraught journey. The hero's dialogues with the divine reveal struggles with doubt, fear, and the burden of destiny. These spiritual undertones enrich the narrative, offering audiences a meditation on the nature of faith and its role in shaping identity and action. Moreover, the film's depiction of leadership challenges conventional hero tropes. The protagonist is neither infallible nor detached. His greatness emerges through vulnerability, sacrifice, and perseverance. This portrayal adds realism and complexity, encouraging viewers to reconsider notions of power and heroism. The thematic interplay between freedom and law is central to the film's impact. It acknowledges that liberation from oppression is but the first step. True freedom requires embracing responsibility and moral order. This duality resonates deeply, reflecting ongoing societal and philosophical debates. The film's ability to weave these themes into its epic narrative elevates it beyond mere historical spectacle. Critics have also praised the film's technical achievements, noting how cinematography, score, and production design work in harmony to reinforce thematic content. The use of light and shadow, sweeping camera movements, and evocative music create an immersive atmosphere that amplifies emotional and spiritual dimensions. This synthesis of form and content contributes to the film's enduring legacy. The film's reception at the time of release and in subsequent decades reflects its layered complexity. While celebrated for its visual grandeur and storytelling, it also invited debate about historical accuracy, cultural representation, and the portrayal of faith. These discussions have enriched its critical legacy, positioning the film as a touchstone for conversations about cinema's role in shaping cultural memory. In sum, the significant events within this epic are not merely narrative milestones but vessels of meaning and emotional depth. They invite viewers to contemplate enduring themes of justice, faith, sacrifice, and leadership. Through a careful balance of spectacle and intimacy, the film crafts a story that resonates across time, challenging and inspiring audiences to reflect on the human journey toward freedom and purpose. The making of this monumental film was nothing short of an odyssey, a vast, intricate undertaking that unfolded over months and years, filled with moments of triumph, challenge, and sometimes sheer astonishment. To understand the full scope of the filmmaking process behind this epic, one must step beyond the screen and into the bustling, often chaotic world behind the cameras, where vision, labor, and artistry converge to bring a story of ancient times to vivid, breathtaking life. From the earliest stages, the ambition was clear. This would not be a modest retelling, but a cinematic event on an unprecedented scale. The producer and director, both visionaries with a passion for grand narratives, set out to create something that would capture not only the eyes but the very imagination of audiences around the world. This required assembling a team that could match the grandeur of the story with the technical and creative expertise needed to realize it. One of the most remarkable aspects of the production was the scale of the sets. Unlike many films of the era that relied heavily on matte paintings or studio backdrops, this project pushed for authenticity by constructing massive, detailed environments. The city of ancient Egypt was recreated on a sprawling backlit, covering more than 300 acres. This was no simple backdrop but a living, breathing world with towering temples, grand palaces, and bustling streets. Craftsmen and artists labored for months to bring this vision into being. Stone blocks, pillars, and statues were painstakingly carved and painted, mimicking the wear of time and the grandeur of a lost civilization. The effort was so enormous that entire teams worked day and night, transforming raw materials into architectural marvels. This dedication to authenticity provided actors with an immersive environment that helped anchor their performances in palpable reality. The logistics of managing such a vast set were staggering. With thousands of extras populating the scenes, coordinating movements, costumes, and choreography became a monumental task. The assistant directors and production managers were tasked with organizing these human elements like generals on a battlefield, ensuring that thousands of individuals could move and act in unison without chaos. This orchestration of crowd scenes, depicting everything from labor camps to mass gatherings, was a feat that required meticulous planning and extraordinary discipline. Adding to the challenge was the use of animals. The production featured an array of creatures, from elephants and camels to horses and exotic birds, each carefully trained for their roles. The presence of these animals brought an unparalleled sense of realism but also introduced unpredictability. There are numerous tales of animals wandering off set or reacting unexpectedly to the noise and crowds, prompting quick thinking and improvisation from the crew. One memorable incident involved an elephant that, startled by a sudden noise, caused a minor panic among extras before being calmly led away by its handlers. The film's famous scenes involving water, particularly the legendary parting of the sea, presented some of the most complex technical challenges. The special effects team constructed enormous water tanks, designed to simulate the movement and power of the ocean. Mechanical gates and pumps controlled the flow, creating walls of water that could be manipulated to appear as if they parted miraculously. This sequence required hundreds of takes to perfect, with cameras carefully positioned to capture the scale and drama. Behind the scenes, the special effects crew worked tirelessly to avoid disasters. One day, a malfunction caused a sudden surge, flooding parts of the set and nearly sweeping away expensive equipment. Crew members scrambled to secure cameras and props, turning what could have been a disaster into a memorable story of quick reflexes and teamwork. These technical challenges underscored the risk and innovation inherent in bringing such an ambitious scene to life without the benefit of modern CGI. The director, known for his meticulous nature and insistence on authenticity, was deeply involved in every aspect of the production. His demanding style sometimes led to tensions on set, but his vision was clear. Every detail mattered, from the weight of the costumes to the cadence of the dialogue. He was famous for requesting numerous takes of critical scenes, pushing actors to deliver performances that conveyed the emotional and spiritual depth of the story. Despite the pressure, the director fostered a collaborative atmosphere. He encouraged input from department heads, valuing creativity and problem-solving across all areas. This openness led to innovations in lighting, camera work, and sound design that helped elevate the film beyond a mere spectacle. Cinematographers experimented with new lenses and filters to capture the desert's harsh light and the glowing interiors of grand temples, while the sound team crafted layered atmospheres filled with the murmur of crowds, the clang of chisels, and the whispers of ancient prayers. The casting process brought together a fascinating mix of talent, blending established stars with newcomers and extras. The lead actor, whose commanding presence anchors the film, was chosen for his ability to convey both regal authority and human vulnerability. Off-screen, he was known for his dedication, often spending long hours rehearsing and working with coaches to master the accents and physicality required for his role. In contrast, the actor portraying the hero's adoptive brother brought a brooding intensity that contrasted sharply with his co-star's warmth. Their dynamic on screen was fueled not only by script but by an off-screen rivalry that added authenticity to their performances. Stories from the set tell of heated debates and moments of tension, but also of mutual respect forged through shared hardship and artistic passion. Costumes played a crucial role in shaping the film's visual identity. The wardrobe department crafted thousands of garments, drawing on historical research and artistic license to create outfits that reflected rank, culture, and personality. Some costumes incorporated real gold leaf and precious stones, adding a tangible sense of luxury. Yet, practicality often dictated modifications, as actors needed to endure long, grueling days under the desert sun. Innovative materials were used to replicate the appearance of heavy fabrics while reducing weight and heat. Makeup artists faced their own challenges. Transforming actors into ancient Egyptians, Hebrews, and other characters required intricate work with face paint, prosthetics, and hairstyling. This process could take hours, with actors enduring uncomfortable applications to achieve the desired look. The attention to detail extended to even minor characters and extras, ensuring that every face contributed to the authenticity of the world. A particularly endearing behind-the-scenes anecdote involves an extra who was initially cast to play a minor role as a laborer but whose natural charisma and emotive expressions caught the director's eye. Without any formal acting experience, this individual became a beloved presence on set and was given more screen time than planned. His genuine portrayal of hardship and resilience added a layer of humanity to the sprawling epic, reminding the cast and crew of the real lives behind the historical narrative. The film's musical score, composed by a legendary maestro, was another pillar of its success. The composer assembled one of the largest orchestras of the time, blending traditional Western instruments with exotic sounds to evoke the film's ancient world. The score was recorded over several months, with the composer working closely with the director to ensure that music and image were perfectly synchronized. Early versions of key themes were reworked multiple times, as both sought the perfect emotional tone. Sound engineers also played a vital role, creating a rich soundscape filled with layers of ambient noise, from the clatter of stone-cutting tools to the distant chanting of priests. These auditory details brought the film's environments to life, deepening immersion. Some of these sounds were captured on location, while others were crafted in the studio using innovative Foley techniques that were cutting-edge at the time. The editing process was no less monumental. With hundreds of hours of footage shot across numerous locations and elaborate sets, the editors faced the daunting task of weaving together a coherent, compelling narrative. Early cuts of the film were significantly longer, with some sequences trimmed or rearranged to maintain pacing and clarity. The editing team worked closely with the director to preserve the story's emotional arc while managing the logistical challenges of such a sprawling production. One of the more unusual production stories concerns the desert filming locations. While the choice of the vast, arid landscapes added unparalleled authenticity, it also brought hardships. Cast and crew endured blistering heat, sandstorms, and a scarcity of water. There are accounts of equipment overheating, cameras failing, and even actors suffering from heat exhaustion. Despite these challenges, the harsh environment contributed to the film's powerful sense of place, making the desert almost a character itself. The film's premiere was a spectacle that mirrored the grandeur of the production itself. The studio orchestrated a lavish event attended by Hollywood stars, political dignitaries, and the public. The premiere was not just a film screening but a cultural moment, marked by parades, fanfare, and widespread media coverage. This event helped cement the film's place in cinematic history, turning it into a landmark of epic storytelling. Finally, the legacy of the production echoes far beyond its initial release. The innovations in set design, special effects, and large-scale crowd management influenced generations of filmmakers. Techniques pioneered here became standards in the industry, pushing the boundaries of what cinema could achieve. The film also inspired renewed interest in ancient history and epic narratives, shaping popular culture's imagination for decades. In the end, the creation of this monumental film was a testament to human creativity and perseverance. It stands as a monument not only to the story it tells but to the countless individuals, artists, craftsmen, actors, and technicians, whose dedication and passion transformed a vision into a timeless work of art. Behind the scenes, amid the dust and sweat, laughter and tears, this film was born as an epic in its own right, a story of dreams realized through collective effort, ingenuity, and the relentless pursuit of cinematic greatness. The world of this epic unfolds not just through its characters or narrative, but through the very spaces in which the story breathes, a vast, immersive landscape that becomes a character itself. The settings and locations chosen for this film are far more than backdrops. They are vessels of meaning, emotional resonance, and visual grandeur. In the end, the creation of this monumental film was a testament to human creativity and perseverance. It stands as a monument not only to the story it tells but to the countless individuals, artists, craftsmen, actors, and technicians, whose dedication and passion transformed a vision into a timeless work of art. Behind the scenes, amid the dust and sweat, laughter and tears, this film was born as an epic in its own right, a story of dreams realized through collective effort, ingenuity, and the relentless pursuit of cinematic greatness. The world of this epic unfolds not just through its characters or narrative, but through the very spaces in which the story breathes, a vast, immersive landscape that becomes a character itself. The settings and locations chosen for this film are far more than backdrops. They are vessels of meaning, emotional resonance, and visual grandeur. Each desert dune, towering monument, and bustling palace courtyard is crafted with painstaking care to transport the viewer into a time long past, forging a connection between the ancient and the cinematic present. From the opening scenes, the audience is swept into an Egypt that feels immense and alive, a sprawling civilization stretching beneath an unyielding sun. The sets are monumental in scale, constructed to evoke awe and wonder. One of the most remarkable achievements is the recreation of the ancient city of Memphis, a city that, in this film, rises like a living temple to human ambition and divine will. The massive columns, intricately carved hieroglyphs, and gilded statues populate the landscape with a sense of reverence and power. The grandeur of the city is not simply about size but about texture and detail. Every surface tells a story, the chipped edges of stone worn by time, the faded murals hinting at forgotten myths, the shimmer of gold leaf catching the desert light. This attention to authenticity immerses the viewer fully, creating an environment where history feels tangible and immediate. Walking through these streets, characters, and by extension, the audience, are reminded of the glory and the oppression woven into the fabric of this civilization. The palace interiors contrast this public grandeur with intimate, shadowed spaces. Rich tapestries, polished stone floors, and flickering torchlight evoke both luxury and confinement. These settings underscore the emotional tension of the characters trapped within them, royalty burdened by duty, heirs torn between loyalty and rebellion. The interplay of light and shadow within these walls speaks volumes, creating a mood of both splendor and unease. Cinematographers employ soft, diffused lighting to soften faces yet highlight the weight of responsibility, drawing viewers into the private struggles behind the palace doors. Beyond the city and palace, the film's use of desert landscapes forms one of its most powerful visual motifs. The endless sands stretch like a vast, living canvas, sometimes harsh and unforgiving, sometimes beautiful and serene. The desert scenes are shot with wide, sweeping camera movements that emphasize isolation and vulnerability. The starkness of the environment strips away distractions, focusing attention on the characters' emotional states and spiritual journeys. The desert is more than a physical setting. It symbolizes exile, testing, and transformation. Scenes of the protagonist wandering through barren landscapes, battered by sun and wind, are imbued with poetic melancholy. Cinematography here uses natural light to stunning effect, the harsh midday sun casting long, dramatic shadows, the golden hues of sunrise and sunset painting the sky with warmth and hope. These visual elements create a rhythm to the narrative, mirroring the hero's internal passage from doubt to faith. Water, or its absence, plays a vital role in the film's visual language. The scarcity of water in the desert underscores themes of survival and desperation, while the miraculous parting of the sea becomes a breathtaking spectacle of liberation. This pivotal scene is crafted with both technical mastery and symbolic weight. The cinematography captures towering walls of water on either side, framing the fleeing masses in a corridor of divine power. The contrast between the turbulent water and the calm determination of the people walking between them heightens the drama and spiritual resonance. In scenes where water appears, be it a quiet oasis or the raging sea, it is treated with reverence and awe. Reflections on the water's surface, the play of light through waves, and the sound design all combine to create moments of profound stillness and wonder. These sequences serve as visual and emotional anchors within the broader narrative, marking turning points in the story and the character's evolution. The film's approach to scale and perspective is a masterclass in visual storytelling. Cinematographers employ a mix of expansive panoramic shots to convey the immensity of the world and tight, intimate close-ups that reveal the subtleties of human emotion. This interplay between grand vistas and personal moments creates a dynamic rhythm, keeping the audience engaged both intellectually and emotionally. The use of deep focus allows multiple layers within a frame to remain sharp, emphasizing the complexity of the settings and the interplay of characters within them. For example, scenes in bustling marketplaces or crowded labor camps show foreground and background activity simultaneously, immersing viewers in a world teeming with life and tension. This technique reinforces the theme that history is shaped by countless individuals, each with their own stories and struggles. Color palette is another essential element that shapes the film's atmosphere. Earthy tones dominate, sands, ochres, and muted golds, evoking the desert and ancient architecture. These warm hues convey both the beauty and harshness of the environment, grounding the story in a tangible reality. In contrast, scenes within the palace often feature richer, cooler colors, deep blues, purples, and crimson, signifying power, luxury, and sometimes the coldness of political machinations. Lighting design plays a crucial role in evoking mood and tone. The interplay of natural and artificial light creates a chiaroscuro effect in many scenes, where sharp contrasts between light and darkness mirror the moral and emotional conflicts unfolding. Torch-lit corridors cast flickering shadows that seem to breathe with attention, while open sunlit spaces offer moments of clarity and revelation. The film's lighting choices guide the viewer's emotional response, enhancing the narrative without overwhelming it. Camera movement is thoughtfully orchestrated to complement the story's pacing and tone. Slow, deliberate tracking shots invite contemplation during moments of spiritual or moral reflection, while dynamic crane shots and sweeping pans amplify the grandeur and urgency of battle or mass exodus scenes. The fluidity of the camera work draws the viewer into the story's flow, making them feel both witness and participant in the unfolding drama. Framing and composition are used with symbolic intent. The hero is often positioned centrally within imposing architectural elements or natural formations, visually reinforcing his role as a figure of destiny. Symmetry and balance in composition evoke themes of order and divine law, while asymmetrical frames during moments of chaos or conflict reflect disruption and uncertainty. These visual choices deepen the thematic layering, turning every shot into a piece of storytelling. The film's costume and set design synergize with cinematography to create a fully realized world. Ornate costumes catch the light, their textures and colors enhanced by camera work that celebrates detail without distraction. The interplay between costume and setting reveals character status, personality, and transformation, enriching the visual narrative. Sound design, while not strictly a visual element, works in tandem with the setting to heighten atmosphere. The rustle of desert wind, the clatter of chisel on stone, and the distant murmur of prayers contribute to an immersive soundscape that breathes life into the environments. The careful layering of sound enhances the realism and emotional impact, making every location feel lived in and vibrant. Symbolism woven into the visual elements further elevates the film. The towering pyramids and massive statues symbolize both human achievement and the weight of oppression. The endless desert sands reflect the vastness of fate and the isolation of exile. The interplay of light and shadow suggests the duality of human nature and the eternal struggle between freedom and bondage. These motifs are reinforced through recurring visual patterns and framing choices, inviting viewers to engage with the story on multiple levels. The film's editing style contributes significantly to how settings and cinematic elements shape the narrative. Transitions between the grandeur of palace life and the starkness of the desert are crafted to emphasize contrast and thematic progression. Montage sequences blend images of labor and worship, violence and redemption, creating a rhythmic flow that carries emotional and philosophical weight. The pace varies deliberately, with moments of stillness allowing for reflection and sweeping sequences propelling the story forward. Lighting effects during key moments, such as the divine encounters or the giving of the laws, use high contrast and dramatic illumination to heighten the spiritual atmosphere. These sequences often employ soft focus and halo effects around characters, visually signaling their connection to the divine and elevating the scenes beyond the mundane. This cinematic choice reinforces the film's exploration of faith and destiny. The choice of filming locations also added to the film's authenticity and atmosphere. While many scenes were shot on elaborate studio sets, the production also ventured into real deserts and rugged terrains. These natural locations provided a stark beauty and realism that studio environments could only approximate. The interplay between constructed and natural settings creates a rich visual texture, grounding the epic in both human artistry and the raw power of nature. The cinematography's use of aerial shots is particularly striking. Sweeping views of the desert expanse, vast armies, and monumental architecture create a sense of scale that is both humbling and awe-inspiring. These shots convey the epic's grandeur and the enormity of the stakes, inviting viewers to contemplate the historical and spiritual magnitude of the events depicted. Visual storytelling is further enriched by the film's use of motifs such as mirrors, doorways, and thresholds. These elements frame characters at moments of decision or revelation, symbolizing transitions and the crossing of boundaries, physical, emotional, and spiritual. The recurring use of such imagery deepens the narrative, suggesting that every step forward is part of a larger journey toward liberation and enlightenment. The film's use of color grading and film stock also contributes to its timeless quality. Warm sepia tones evoke the ancient world, while subtle shifts in hue signal changes in mood or narrative focus. The deliberate choice of textures and grain gives the film a tactile, almost painterly quality, inviting viewers to lose themselves in its visual poetry. In sum, the film's settings and cinematic elements work in concert to create an immersive and emotionally resonant experience. The grandeur of ancient Egypt is brought to life through monumental sets and breathtaking landscapes, while intimate lighting and composition invite viewers into the hearts and minds of its characters. Cinematography shapes mood and tone with artistry and precision, weaving symbolism and atmosphere into every frame. Through these visual and spatial choices, The film transcends mere storytelling to become a meditation on history, faith, and human resilience. The settings are not just places but stages upon which the eternal struggles of freedom, justice, and destiny are played out, making the cinematic journey as profound as the tale itself. Behind the glittering spectacle and sweeping vistas of this grand epic lies a world of relentless human effort, camaraderie, and the occasional unexpected twist. The stories from the set breathe life into the legend, revealing a filmmaking journey as dramatic and complex as the story on screen. To truly grasp the magnitude of what went into creating this monumental film, we must journey beyond the polished final product and into the sometimes chaotic, sometimes tender moments behind the scenes, where artistry met endurance, friendship sparked, and challenges were met with grit and ingenuity. From the earliest days of production, it was clear that this film would test the limits of everyone involved. The sheer scale of the sets alone was staggering. Constructing an entire ancient city was a feat never before attempted on such a level, and the daily operations on this massive stage felt like orchestrating a small, bustling metropolis. Crew members recall the dizzying logistics of managing thousands of extras, animals, and props. Coordinators became masters of timing and precision, ensuring that every scene unfolded like a well-choreographed dance amid the chaos. The extras, many of whom were locals hired specifically for this production, became more than just background figures. They lived and breathed the world of the film, sometimes spending months on set enduring the harsh desert conditions. Stories abound of how these individuals formed close-knit communities, sharing meals, stories, and laughter during breaks. Their genuine enthusiasm and commitment brought a palpable authenticity to scenes depicting the enslaved masses, transforming them from faceless crowds into a living, breathing presence. One particularly charming anecdote involves a group of extras who, during a prolonged shooting of a labor scene, spontaneously organized a makeshift music circle using whatever instruments and objects they could find. Their impromptu melodies echoed across the set, lifting spirits and drawing smiles from cast and crew alike. This simple act of joy amid grueling work is a testament to the resilience and humanity that underpinned the entire production. The relationship between the leading actors was marked by both professional respect and moments of genuine tension. The star portraying the hero was known for his intense preparation and commanding presence, often immersing himself fully into the character. His co-star, playing the rival brother, brought a brooding intensity that complemented and sometimes challenged the lead style. On set, their interactions oscillated between camaraderie and fierce competition, each pushing the other to deliver performances charged with realism and emotional depth. There are tales of heated debates over character motivations, with the two actors fiercely defending their interpretations. Yet, these exchanges were underpinned by mutual admiration, and many crew members believe this tension enhanced the powerful dynamic seen on screen. During long shoots, the two were sometimes spotted sharing quiet moments off-camera, reviewing lines or discussing scenes, revealing a collaborative spirit beneath the rivalry. The director's presence loomed large over the production, both literally and figuratively. Known for his perfectionism, he was a demanding but passionate leader who sought to extract the very best from everyone involved. His vision was uncompromising, often requiring numerous takes of key scenes. While this approach sometimes strained relationships, many actors and crew came to respect his dedication and ability to inspire. One legendary behind-the-scenes story involves a grueling day spent filming a critical confrontation scene in the desert heat. Temperatures soared well above normal, and the director insisted on retaking shots multiple times to capture the exact emotional nuance he envisioned. By the end of the day, exhaustion threatened to overtake the cast and crew. Yet, when the director finally called wrap, the lead actor reportedly collapsed, overcome by heat and fatigue. This incident sparked renewed efforts to improve on-set conditions, including better hydration and rest breaks, reflecting a growing awareness of the physical toll the production exacted. Animals played an unpredictable but vital role in the filmmaking process. Elephants, camels, and horses added authenticity but also introduced unique challenges. Trainers worked closely with handlers to ensure safety, yet moments of chaos were inevitable. On one memorable occasion, a startled camel bolted during a scene, scattering extras and causing a brief halt to shooting. The incident, while unnerving, quickly became a source of laughter as crew members recounted the unexpected camel chase over meals and breaks. Despite the challenges, these animal actors became beloved members of the production family. Crew members shared stories of the gentle nature of certain elephants and the stubborn but endearing antics of horses, all of which added texture to the behind-the-scenes narrative. Their presence reminded everyone of the delicate balance between human control and the untamed forces of nature. Costume and makeup departments faced Herculean tasks, outfitting thousands of cast and extras in historically inspired garments and intricate prosthetics. The desert environment added further difficulty, with heat and sand wreaking havoc on fabrics and makeup. Yet, these teams displayed remarkable creativity and resilience, developing innovative solutions to maintain authenticity and comfort. One fascinating anecdote involves the use of specially designed cooling vests for principal actors. These garments, worn beneath heavy robes and armor, helped regulate body temperature during intense scenes. The invention was considered cutting-edge for the time and contributed significantly to the ability of actors to perform demanding sequences under harsh conditions. The makeup artists, too, were pioneers. Transforming actors into figures from antiquity required hours of detailed work each day. Some actors joked about the long process, sharing humorous moments as prosthetics were applied or removed. The camaraderie within the makeup team helped sustain morale, and their artistry was crucial in bringing the film's diverse characters to vivid life. The set design crew encountered its own share of challenges. The colossal statues and monumental architecture, though awe-inspiring, required constant maintenance. Desert winds, sandstorms, and shifting temperatures caused wear and damage, necessitating around-the-clock repairs. One story tells of a night crew racing against time to fix a fallen column before dawn, ensuring the next day's shooting could proceed uninterrupted. Filming in remote desert locations presented logistical hurdles beyond imagination. Water, food, shelter, and medical facilities had to be transported and maintained for hundreds of people. Equipment breakdowns in the harsh environment were common, requiring ingenuity and quick fixes. The resilience of the crew in these conditions speaks to their dedication and the collective spirit that drove the production forward.